Welcome back to The Balanced Blue. If you're new to my channel, I'm Abby, here to talk all things metaphysics to provide you the tools to actualize your dreams into reality and ultimately raise the vibrations of the collective consciousness. Today we're going to talk about the subconscious, what the collective consciousness is, and ways that you can actually connect your conscious mind with your subconscious mind to build that dialogue with your inner self. Once you've built that dialogue between those two minds, you can then use your new abilities to access things like the Akashic records, the collective consciousness, communicate with your spirit guides, and so much more. There really are no limits. The subconscious mind takes up about 90% of our mind, so think about an iceberg. The tip that's sticking out of the water represents our conscious mind. The rest that is underwater is our subconscious mind. These two minds are in constant dialogue with each other. The subconscious mind is the one that's creating the thoughts. Most of our thoughts are coming from our subconscious, and it is then sent to our conscious mind. Most of these thoughts we don't ever consciously hear. The subconscious mind is the creative source for all that evolves in the conscious mind. Our subconscious mind is connected to every being on Earth, whether it's human, animal, insect, mineral. There are different kingdoms that represent that species. Our thoughts come from our subconscious, and that is also where our higher self resides. Our higher self is connected to these collective consciousnesses. Our higher self and our subconscious works with the mathematics of the cosmos. It knows all the future, past, and present possibilities of energies, events, and since it knows all the probabilities of different events, it can then nudge us to maybe be in a certain place to meet a certain person at a certain time. This could also be dating someone that has us learn something internally that will guide us on a new path, or maybe a job that we have to take so we can learn what we should avoid in the future. Each and every one of us has a personal consciousness that acts as a doorway to the human collective. Every kingdom and every species, not only on Earth but on every planet and every galaxy within every universe, has its own collective consciousness. We can access all of these collective consciousnesses, but the one that is going to be the loudest, the most prevalent, is the human collective. At any one moment, we are all sharing all thoughts, feelings, emotions, sensations, events with all species of life. We can tap into these collectives and divide them into different groups. So depending on what question you are seeking to be answered, or a specific group that you were targeting, you would then divide that into a subgroup. There's really no limits to how you can divide it. So for example, let's say that you were giving a lecture and you want to gauge how the audience is feeling before that lecture happens. You could then tune in and tap in to understand how the audience is feeling before the event happens. So you can then adjust your lecture for that specific audience. You can even anticipate the types of questions coming into the lecture, so then you can actually address those different questions or these different emotions and adjust how you're going to interact with the audience based on the information you gather from the collective consciousness. So there's unlimited ways and you can divide this up depending on what questions that you're looking to have answered. Within our subconscious, it also houses our subpersonalities and our shadows. Our shadow is considered a collective experience first, as it is part of the collective consciousness, and then it is looked at as a personal experience second. Our subpersonalities are divided up into these different characteristics and these traits. A lot of these subpersonalities and shadows were born during our childhood. These are both really big topics in and of themselves, so if you are interested and curious of learning more about subpersonalities and our shadow, then let me know in the comments below. Within the subconscious is also our intuition. Our intuition is directly related to our higher selves. It is predicted that the intuition was originally developed for survival purposes, and it is one of our first skills that developed even before our spoken language. But as children, we are often dismissed and discouraged to listen to our intuition with our societal standards. The way our intuition communicates to our conscious mind is through symbols. Now, the skill comes in learning how to interpret these symbols because they come in fragmented pieces, and you have to learn how to not only put these pieces together, but also interpret what these symbols mean. It is very rare to have complete sentences and even words coming through. You can have words, but it's even more rare to have complete sentences. More often than not, you will receive symbols, sensations, and feelings as this internal language of intuition. Even though most of us were conditioned to dismiss our intuitive abilities, this fortunately is a skill that we can develop in practice over time, and it actually does not take too long to develop these skills again. I'm getting a sense that most of you don't quite know a lot about the clairs and how the intuition works, how you can see these symbols. So our subconscious works through not the physical organs of our eyes, but with our mind's eye. There are several different types of what we call clairs. These are the clarity of senses and not just our physical senses. We can go in depth more on the clairs in another video, but let's touch base briefly on what these different clairs are. First, we have the claircognizant, which is clear knowing. Then we have clairaudience, which is clear hearing. Then we have clairvoyance, which is clear seeing, and usually this is in the mind's eye, but it can use the physical eye. Then we have the clairgustance, which is tasting, and the clairalience, which is smelling. And lastly, we have clairsentience, which is feeling. When I say things like feeling and smelling and seeing, this isn't your typical, like, I can feel my skin, I can feel my hair. This is you're gonna receive information. It's not your typical feeling, seeing, smelling. It's a intuitive insight. Intuition is simply knowing. It is not a linear process. It does not have deductive reasoning as the logical mind does. Intuition responds to very specific questions. We have a lot of thoughts going through our minds on a daily basis. We need to be very specific as to which questions we are guiding our intuition to then answer. Because remember, our subconscious has access to all probabilities, all possibilities of all outcomes and all life. So if we have a question that we need answered, we need to be very specific about what we are asking so our subconscious knows which coordinates within the collective consciousness to pull our answers from. There's a universal law that what is asked must be answered. If you're new to asking for guidance from your intuition, just sit and wait for an answer, and if you don't get it in that session, pay attention to your surroundings because you might receive your answers through messages within your environment. These can come in numerical forms or dreams or even in synchronicities. Be very aware of your surroundings and what kind of messages you feel like is being presented to you. When working with your intuition and building its strength, it's important to recognize what the signposts are. So when you are in an intuitive state, how do you feel? Are there any shifts? Because typically you are going to feel some kind of change within your physical body, whether it's you have a different breathing pattern, or you're feeling hotter, colder, maybe you feel a heaviness on you or a lightness. Whatever it is, write that down and recognize what your signposts are so in the future you know, oh, I'm in an intuitive state, or you know, you can more easily get into that intuitive state because you know what feeling you were looking for. And this can help you build your trust in the answers that you're receiving because you'll know when you're in that state and when you're in that place. Through logging and checking and rechecking your intuitive messages, it will then help you determine whether the messages that you're receiving are from your intuition or if it's through projection or internal thought or even our ego. Try analyzing your thoughts. Where do they come from? Are they related to a train of thought, or did they come into your mind sporadically? Was there a mental image that was connected to it? Can you determine where these thoughts came from and why certain emotions came up? Were they related to your environment? Feel the emotions as they come up and try just observing them. Dream work is an amazing tool for connecting with our subconscious. We have these symbols and events and thoughts that are crafted in our dream world with such vividity and clarity in many cases that we can then interpret every morning. So we are lucky to have such a powerful tool that we can utilize every single night. Shadow work is another really useful tool for connecting and getting to know our subconscious. It is a form of psycho-emotional healing, and there are many forms of shadow work. We have both a shadow and a golden shadow. This is what we dislike and what we admire. You're not sure why it's triggering such an emotional response. A lot of times it's because we resonate and we embody a part of those characteristics ourselves. We can talk a lot more about shadow work in another video. Let me know if you guys would like to see that below. Journaling is a tool you can use across every method, honestly, and it should be used within every method. We should be logging our experiences and our thoughts throughout the day, but also when we are practicing specific methods. That way we can fact check our messages that we received and also build that dialogue between our conscious and subconscious minds. Automatic writing is a very common tool that is used to allow your hands to write without using your conscious mind. This is also called psychography. It is guided by your subconscious and it silences your inner critic and your ego. It allows everything to come through without judgment. So let's try something together. Pause your video, go grab a piece of paper and a pen, and once you've collected it, come back and replay. Let's begin by finding a comfortable seated position. If you're sitting in a chair, keep your feet flat on the ground. Feel the energy of the earth below you going through your feet and up through your chakras. Close your eyes and take several deep breaths through your nose. Feel the breath going in and out, in and out. Imagine a bright white light spreading throughout your body, beginning from the top of your head and floating all the way down to your toes. As the light fills you from top to bottom, feel any tension melting away and leaving you feeling deeply relaxed. Now visualize the question you are seeking answered. If this was an object, what would this object look like? Is it smooth? Is it rough? Maybe it's fuzzy. What does the energy feel like? Is the vibration slow and gentle, or is it rough and hard around the edges? How do you feel when you look at it, when you hold it with your hands? Do you feel happy, or are you sad? Feel the emotions that this question and the concerns that are revolving around it makes you feel. Observe without judgment. Now release the question, watching it float away up into the cosmos, where it is absorbing your question to find its answer. Take a few more deep breaths as you wait for the cosmos to find your answer. In and out, in and out. When you are ready, slowly open your eyes and return to your physical reality. Pick up your pen or pencil. Think about the question that you released into the universe and write down whatever comes to mind. If you receive words, write down those words. If you're receiving symbols or images, try your best to describe it. Once you have finished writing, close with gratitude to any divine energies that guided you to your answer. If you're still writing, go ahead and pause this video and we'll be here when you get back. So how was it? Were you able to find some answers to your questions? With enough practice, your flow from your subconscious will become easier and easier. But as with everything, practice is key. Whichever method that you choose to try and experiment with, just be consistent with it. Consistency is where we see our results. If you're like a lot of us, you're probably wondering how you can tell the difference between your regular thoughts and your intuitive messages. This skill can be developed fairly quickly with consistent practice. So this practice would include logging these intuitive messages and checking them for accuracy, but also is pretending that you believe and to set aside your rational mind for some time to allow these messages to come in. Simply believing that your subconscious has the ability to access everything and anything is your key to actually accessing everything. But if you don't believe it, you can't develop these skills. I'm sorry to say that you have to actually believe it and be consistent with your practice. Be open to these messages and let the universe know that you are open to these messages. log them down, check them for accuracy to ensure that you are not picking up incorrect messages or interpreting them incorrectly. And over a short amount of time that you will develop these skills, and they will become very strong, and they will be immediate, and you will know the difference between whether it's your own ego's projections or if it's actual intuitive messages. I love you all, and if you haven't yet, give this video a like, subscribe, and comment, and check out one of these videos over here to continue exploring your inner wisdom. I'll see you over there, and don't forget to stay blue.